Hello there. Good to be back after a couple of days. And as we move deeper and deeper into this experience with the virus, March the 24th, and talking with different friends, just this issue of like being alone, being home, things shutting more and more down here in the state of Washington. The governor getting on the news yesterday and just making very explicit that we have to um, stay at home. And the challenge that is for people, and how eventually we get finished like looking at the stuff in our house, doing the stuff in our house, figuring out one way to be occupied, watching this, watching that. And I just wanted to share hopefully helpful, calm thought that some years ago I became interested not just at looking at the thing that was in my life, but looking at that space that's between the things. And if you're home and getting bored, or with all those things that you're paying attention to try to occupy ourselves with in this time that we're not doing our regular schedule, you might just want to try, like I do, to look at the thing that's in between yourself and the thing you're looking at, which is a space. And some amazing things happen when you actually notice that space. One is your stress response turns off because you're responding to the nothing, the thing that's in between, right? Like you can imagine all the things that you pay attention to that are stressful in these days, and there's so many of them, and they're so profound for our whole planet. And it's okay to have our attention there, but it's also okay while we're home alone and just spending these 24 hours a day waiting, watching, and experience to see the space that's in between that has nothing in it. Which then our stress response, which is a response, pays attention to the space and turns off. And that's a great benefit. Relaxing, makes me yawn. And you can just keep looking in that space. Eventually, it's possible that you start seeing that the stuff arises out of that space. Instead of just me, a thing, reacting to that thing, a thing, to that other person, a thing. You start to see that it is all arising. It all comes into being out of this space. And so then this space, which is nothing, which really is just the absence of something in particular, right? As soon as you stick something in particular in that space, well, then there's that thing to focus on. In the absence of focusing on anything, imagine that you can be aware of this everything, this source, this whatever from which things arise. So if you want to take that on as a game to play, just noticing the space. I've taken that on as a game for years. It's got a lot of benefits for health and wellness and spiritual exploration and all of those kinds of things, but might be a good game to start playing while you're home alone. And I would be fascinated to hear your comments on your experience of it. Noticing that space. There's a book right over there, and the title of it's a wonderful book called Braiding Sweetgrass. And I can engage that with my mind and my energy. And that's fantastic. You can do that with all the different things while we're home alone. But you could also play this game of, wow, what if I just let myself be a response to that space that has nothing in it? And whatever arises next, boredom, worried about how long I have to stay in the house, etc., notice the space between yourself and that awareness. All right. If you look back on down below here on the description, you can see some other videos where I explain going back and forth and things like that. But hey, here's a game to play. Noticing the space, letting your awareness be in the space. Thought comes up, there's a space between yourself and that thought. You could occupy a lot of extra minutes while we're home alone here. All right, drop me a note. I'll be back again. Chickens are good up at the chicken farm. The governor gave agriculture an exemption from having to stay home, so I can still go out and collect all the food that I collect for the chickens to feed them. Today, taking a drive up on top where the wheat grows and buy a trailer load of grain for the chickens, and they're laying lots of eggs, and people are helping to sell them here in our community since we don't have tourists. So anyway, that's news from the Happy Hens farm, and I look forward to being back with you again soon. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.